Hello, everyone, and today we are talking to Alasdair Pinkerton. Now, it's going to be a different interview to what we've done before because we're going to talk about politics. Now, I know we don't normally talk about politics, but politics is very much a part of our life, especially at the moment.
Yeah.
And I thought, who do I know who's a politician? I know, Alasdair. Now, we want to speak to other politicians as well. So obviously you're Liberal.
Yeah.
We'd like to speak to a Conservative. We'd like to speak to a Labour, Green Party. What other parties are there?
The Reform Party.
Reform Party.
UKIP.
Yeah, UKIP. So if you are a member of a party and you want to come on and talk about your issues and that, especially over the next 6 months, then please get in touch with us. We want to hear from you. But today we're talking to Alasdair.
Well, thank you for having me.
That's all right. Now, we've talked about you in the past. We've talked about, obviously, you brought your son in and we had a bit of a laugh and a joke. So this is going to be not as light-hearted. It's going to be a bit more in-depth.
Okay.
And I'm going to try and steer it in a professional way.
I know you will.
Which is very unusual for me. So let's talk about now. So when did you start? When did you first initially get into politics?
I mean, I've been interested in politics, all my life. Maybe I was a bit of an unusual teenager because I was fascinated by politics, but I was never a member of a political party all the way up until 2019.
Okay.
So 2019 is when the moment came for me. I'd voted in every election. I had even gone out and done a little bit of leaflet dropping for people when I was at university. But 2019 is the moment for me when it came. And so it got to about, I guess, March, April 2019. You probably remember that period of time.
Oh, yes.
It was that very dark time. The Brexit vote had been taken in 2016. They were still struggling to get this through Parliament. What did Brexit look like? What did it mean? It was a complete shambles. We'd had Theresa May by that point. I can't remember whether, I think Boris Johnson was now in as Prime Minister. Yes, he was.
Was he in?
Prime Minister.
Okay.
I think just about. He took over from Theresa May. And I thought, I've got to do something.
Yeah.
I cannot just continue to shout at the television. And I was shouting at the TV, and I was shouting at the radio.
Did your wife have a hand and go, just do something, just do something? If you want to do something and then you can't do it sitting here shouting at the TV.
Yeah, and she did definitely push me into this. She said, you've got to do something.
Does she regret it now?
No, well, maybe sometimes. Maybe sometimes. And we might talk about some of those moments of deeper regret as we go on. But to be honest, she felt the same frustration as well because she was shouting at the TV. So we both were, yeah? We were both just consuming all of this, feeling powerless to do anything about it. But then we thought, well, there is something that we can do, and that is to join the political party that we felt was closest to our way of thinking, and then see where it goes. So I joined the Lib Dems. I turned up to a social event that they organised. People were incredibly friendly and welcoming. And it also turned out that they were looking for a new parliamentary candidate. The previous parliamentary candidate, she actually lived in Woking, Anne-Marie Barker. She wasn't going to be standing again in Surrey Heath. So they were looking for a new potential person. And one of the things that had really struck a chord with me is that during the whole Brexit thing, Michael Gove had said famously, we've had enough of experts. And because of my job, and we've talked about my day job before, as working at university, specialising in geopolitics, I'd been writing papers about Brexit and the effect that it was going to have on the British Overseas Territories, which is one of my big specialist subjects.
You still do that as a day job, don't you?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So that is my 9 to 5, that's my 9 to 7. So that's my day job, and then I have to squeeze the politics stuff in the evenings and at weekends. And so I thought, well, listen, I do have an expertise.
Yeah.
And I do know the effect that Brexit and other big global events are going to have on our economies, societies, our politics, and the way the world works. So I thought, well, maybe I've got some qualifications that the Lib Dems here would be interested in. And I put my hat in the ring. I put my papers in. And really, that was the starting point. And it's been a really fascinating path going through all of that process of being selected, having to go through internal hustings to be selected as the candidate.
Yeah.
And then, of course, in December 2019, only a few months after I was selected as the parliamentary candidate, we had our first election, which came far earlier than I ever thought.
Now, let's talk about that, because that was a really trying time for you, wasn't it? Because I'm not going to. You were bullied. You were bullied. There were people out there who were out there to discriminate against you as a parliamentary candidate. And I think a lot of these people, they tend to hide behind Facebook.
Yeah.
They don't come up to your face, you know. So just go through obviously some of those things, because it not only affects you, it affects your family as well.
Sure. It was a really hard time. So listen, I went into the election completely excited, and I still look back on that election with really warm memories, because it was amazing. It was my first ever experience like that. You know, I was up ladders, putting in stake boards, you know, the big orange diamonds, and climbing up walls and putting them on walls, and meeting fascinating people, and just getting our message out there. You know, I had to try and do what you do really well, which was to try and present myself on video, which I hadn't really had to do before. You know, I'm a lecturer.
You are good at it. You are good at it, though.
Well, I'm getting better at it, maybe. But, you know, my usual thing was I had to speak on my specialist subject rather than my own beliefs in front of students. This was now about talking about my own beliefs with conviction and really connecting with people in a different way than I had to before. But it was an exciting challenge. But you're right, it was also a really tough time. Because within just a few days of the election being called and the first banners going up, we started to see them being torn down. They were being graffitied, sometimes with words like traitor on them, and, you know, like spray paint all over the place.
I remember seeing a video you posted. You took it of you holding one of these, saying this, it's been ruined. Why would this happen? Who did this?
Well, and I still to this day don't know who it was, but I know that, yes, there was green. I remember the green spray paint, and there was a stencil that was being used with the word traitor on it. And I was really angry about this, because whatever people think about politics and individual politicians, this is the process. This is the democratic process. We put ourselves out there. Politicians put their neck on the line. They put themselves up for a lot of public criticism. Yeah. You know, and I've criticised other politicians too. So
well, you know, it's the game, isn't it? So what happens.
I get it. But it got very personal and very close to home during that election. And I do understand, you know, people were really fired up around that election. You know, it was the Get Brexit Done election. My own views clearly were at the time and remain that we have ended up being more isolated and poorer and less well connected to Europe and the wider world, and we've lost trading relationships, etc., as a result of Brexit, or the kind of Brexit that ultimately we got given by Theresa May and her red lines, and then Boris Johnson. But I get that people were really passionate about defending that vote, even though I don't think actually it was terribly clear what that vote really meant. But it didn't need to get to the point where my kids were being bullied at school, and there was spray paint on boards, and people were putting up Facebook. There was some fake news as well that went around with your face on the front of it, and it was like, and obviously on Facebook. Every year it will come up as an anniversary of this post, and it's like, you know, someone took the time and effort to do that, to post it. I mean, but why would they print fake news? What is the point of fake? And we all see it on Facebook, we see it on Instagram, even certain news channels. They will do fake news. What is the point of it? I can't claim to get into the head of somebody that would do that. I mean, I know who it was, but I'm not going to name. No. I don't know. I mean, I think maybe it's just the nature of politics around here. I mean, I know this happens everywhere, but there's something I think about Surrey Heath where we obviously have had one political party dominate the scene for such a long time. You know, we've had the Conservatives dominating Surrey Heath Borough Council since 1974, Surrey County Council since 1965, and we've had an MP, a Conservative MP, ever since this constituency was created. And I think if somebody comes in and they seek to disrupt that, I think that panicked people in 2019. I think it panics people much less now, because I think people have seen what a horrific mess we're in. And I think people were very defensive of that they thought that's the only thing that we can ever have. And I think they just drew on every potential tool to try and discredit this newcomer who dared to try and shake things up a wee bit.
I mean, you are one more so than you were back then. But even in 2019, you were still well known for what you did, and you were very good in the community. You know, you would help out with things in the community. That's where I got to know you, but obviously during Surrey Heath Prepared.
That's right.
But but before that, you were always out. You were always talking to people, and this year I saw you at the coronation event.
That's right.
Yeah. And basically, it was not a coronation event, the Jubilee event.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. No,
and it took. How long did it take you to get around the arena with your family, talking to people? So I even said to you, I said, you should have brought some chairs.
Well, that is the amazing thing about this community, and really, my journey to this position where I am now has been 3 years in the making. I wasn't well known in the community before 2019 at all. It was that campaign, followed by then, of course, we swiftly went into lockdown.
Yeah.
And so I was very heavily involved in Surrey Youth Prepared. I mean, that's really where it's come from. In the past 3 years, I have become quite well known. I don't sometimes recognize it myself, but my wife and family say, "Oh, Daddy, that person recognized you." We could tell because they kind of looked round or had a double take. And yeah, when my kids are with me, they groan because every time we go around, let's say the car show here, or we went to the Christmas light switch on at the weekend. There are just so many people that I've got to know and who know me and who come up and want to talk about stuff. And I think it's great. My kids think it's a little bit much at times, but I think they recognize, my kids perhaps more than anybody else, they recognize how important what I'm trying to do for them and for the next generation.
I mean, I get sort of similar, not as much as you, obviously, but
I don't know, you're pretty well known.
The thing is, though, my wife and kids are the same.
Yeah.
Literally it's got to the stage where actually we don't want to go out with you anymore. Yeah. But putting that all aside, so you go there, and basically, but these are the people who you want to vote for you. So you're going to stop and talk to them, aren't you? You're not going to be like that Madonna and go, "No, sorry, it's family time. I'm not going to talk to anyone."
And to be honest, it's more than just I would like them to vote for me in the future. Because I mean, to be honest, there are some people in the community who I know that they would vote, but most people I talk to who have asked for my help, I actually have no idea how they vote. It's never a question I would ask them, but they've come to me maybe because they haven't had success with those people who are elected, but they've come to me and they've said, "Are you able to help?" And one of the things, of course, I most have to say is, listen, I don't really have any power. I've never won an election in my life.
But you can point them in the right direction, though.
I can point them in the right direction. And very often what I can do is I can offer them some advice, if that's appropriate. And if it was going to work for them, I can try and raise the profile of the issue that they have got. And sometimes, frankly, embarrass the powers that be into action. And so that's what I do. And because I've done that now in several different cases around the borough and around the constituency, people have got to know me as a consequence. I would never turn anybody away if they weren't inclined to vote for me. That's not what this is about.
You're a bit like a community doctor, aren't you?
I've never thought about myself.
I mean, you've got obviously you do that, but you've also got counsellors.
Yeah.
So all the counsellors and everything. So you can point them to the Now I know the counsellors do actually do a lot of work. They've started. I've seen. There's even a surgery in the Deep Cut Cafe.
Yeah, that's right. We had a pop-up surgery in the Deep Cut Cafe 2 or 3 weeks ago. Yeah,
which is a great place to hold a surgery.
Absolutely.
And you're there. You're there at the Liberal events. You're there also even the Camberley switch on and things like that. So you are very much in the public eye.
Yeah, that's right.
We don't actually know when the next election is going to be, but obviously there is going to be one at some point. So you will be starting to work towards that, I take it now?
Well, that never really goes away for me. I have been, I guess, ever since 2019, and where we made great progress. We obviously didn't win, and Michael Gove and the Conservatives have still got a majority. But we made huge progress. I think we got something like the 3rd or 4th biggest swing towards us in the country, which is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Given that, of course, it was the Conservatives did very well at that election, and Michael Gove starts from a position of great strength here. So we did really well. But I've never really stopped campaigning. I have continued to work and to do the things that I think a good MP could and should be doing in the community.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just being out and about, listening, answering the emails that you get, proactively meeting the public, holding these surgeries, and doing what an MP should do. And that's, I think, that's how I want people to see me, as an MP in waiting. Because I want people to have absolute faith that if I was to win an election in the future, they know what they're going to get. They're going to get somebody who lives here, whose kids go to school here, they play for local football teams, and they're a part of the community. Listen, I fully recognise that it's not easy being a Lib Dem in Surrey Heath. If I was an aspirant career politician,
you go Conservative.
Well, either I change hats and be someone that I'm not, or I do what other MPs have done, which is you look around the country for a safe seat and you demand that you're parachuted in there. Yeah, I haven't done that. I've stood up to try and represent the community that I belong to, rather than somewhere where that's going to be an easy ride.
I mean, the council elections last time, there was a big sway towards Liberal. I mean, basically, they took over quite a few of the little boroughs.
Yeah.
And so, I think that is actually starting to happen. I mean, is Conservative a safe seat anymore in Surrey Heath? I think that's the question we need to be asking, because at the moment it seems to be swaying more one way than the other way.
Yeah, I don't think it is a safe seat anymore. And you're right to point out that the local, the most recent borough by-election, for example, in Bisley and West End, where Liz Noble, our newest Lib Dem councillor, it was an extraordinary victory there. It was the biggest win that the Lib Dems have had in Surrey Heath, I think, in our history.
It must be a bit of a shock, because, all of a sudden you've got nothing, and then all of a sudden I'm councillor. What do they go to a councillor's school or anything like that?
Yeah, they do get training from the borough council on how to become a councillor. And just to give you an example, I was with Liz last night. We were visiting some residents in Bisley and in West End, and talking to them about their concerns. And we went as a double act, because the issues that they were raising straddled local borough stuff and national stuff. So we went as a team.
Okay.
So that's the kind of response that the community can expect.
That's what should be happening. The MP should be working with the councillors to get that through. We could sit here and we could talk on for a very, very long time, but I don't think the viewer would appreciate that. So we're going to end it there.
Okay.
And we'll have a catch up in 6 months' time, whatever. And obviously building up to the election, should the election happen at some point. So thank you very much, Alasdair. And I'd just like to say, your book.
Oh, yes.
Your book. I found out today that he wrote a book. It's about radio.
Yeah.
So this is obviously not to do with politics. This is a light finish.
Yes.
So, okay, so tell us about your book very, very quickly. Because I want everyone to go into Waterstones and order this book.
All good bookshops.
I'd like to go and have Fly Fishing by J.R. Hartley. You go in and order
Radio by Alasdair Pinkerton.
By Alasdair Pinkerton, please. It's not a story, is it? It's like a documentary novel of radio.
It's like the technical, social, political history of radio, going all the way back to its invention in the late 19th century through to the way that it then went everywhere. In fact, it's now so everywhere that we hardly even talk about radio anymore at all, because we talk about Netflix and other things, but the technologies that created radio enable so much in our lives now. And I love radio. I mean, I have been as well as politics, I have been an avid radio listener.
You look like a Radio 4. You look like a Radio 4 person.
Radio 4, I'm increasingly LBC. I have to say, LBC is a real tonic
LBC
for me. If there are jobs going at LBC, I'd be very happy to get offers. But no, I love radio. And also I wrote part of my PhD about the BBC World Service and the diplomatic importance of the BBC World Service in negotiating Britain's relationship with other countries around the world during the 20th century. So it was a very natural fit for me, and it was a great fun book to write.
Fantastic. In all good bookshops now.
Absolutely.
And it's hardback. It's not softback either.
It's hardback, but it's still great value, even though it's hardback.
It's fantastic.
15, 16 pounds.
So if you see Alasdair outside and you've got the book with you, you get him to sign it. That'd be even better. Signed from the author, Alasdair Pinkerton.
It's a great stocking filler.
Thank you very much, Alasdair. I will catch up with you soon. Thank you.
Here at SMJ Media Group, we are a non-profit company supporting local businesses by making fun media content. If you like our content and would like to support us, please go to buyusacoffee.com/SMJ Media Group and buy us a coffee.